Welcome back to Voices from the Valley, where we meet and learn from the movers and the shakers in and around the Merrimack Valley. I am your host, John Bachmann, and with me, as always, is our other host, Ben Tallberg.
Hey, John. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. How's everything with you?
Real good. Actually, I'm just coming back from a network meeting, so all charged up, ready to go.
You're ready to rock and roll today.
Ready to rock and roll. I already finished up my coffee. I got a water here, so man.
So are you coming down yet, or... You're still on that high.
Oh, I'm on the high, baby.
Awesome. So it's funny you mentioned a networking meeting. We talk about it quite a bit. Networking is so important. And I got a funny little story here. I was at this networking meeting, and I met this individual, learned all about their business, and I was like, awesome. I'm raring to go, and I can't wait to have meetings with him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The very next day in my office, I had a client come in, and this client said, hey, listen, I'm going to be selling my house that I've had since like the 50s or 60s. I built this. I've accumulated a bunch of shit. And I don't know what I'm going to do. You have any thoughts? And I said, funny enough, I met somebody recently that's in this line of work and just might be able to help you out.
Yeah.
And that's how I was introduced to Jonathan Mandell. So today we have Jonathan Mandell with Blue Moon Estate Sales out of Merrimack Valley. And more important than that is he is the husband to Tara, and he's a father to an amazing blended family with children, Allie, Justin, Emma, Alex, and Haley. That's the end of the list. Jonathan, how you doing today, man?
That better be the end of the list.
Yeah.
Or some doctor made some horrible mistake. I'm doing great. No, this is awesome. Like you said, the story is great. I loved meeting you at the event, and yeah, that's why I'm out here. Just trying to tell our story, what we do, and find people in need.
Awesome. So before we get into speaking specifically about Blue Moon and how we can get more clients at your door and the transition into that business as well, how did you get there? How did you end up at Blue Moon?
Yeah. So, I grew up in the area, grew up in Peabody.
Me too.
Yeah. And then I went to St. John's Prep.
Me too.
And my God, you guys are brothers.
It's amazing. And then, I went to school for an electrical engineering degree up in Montreal. You too?
Not you. No.
And, I came back to the area. I worked for the first company. I worked for Teradyne, which is actually now right in North Reading. And basically did engineering very briefly, found out very quickly that what I liked to do was product management, specifically the types of products I ended up working on, always service small businesses. I loved that line of work. I would spend a lot of time in small businesses and working with them side by side, trying to create new products to make their lives better. And doing that for quite a few years, you hear a lot of stories, you hear a lot of horror stories, but at the end of the day, every small business I talked to was like, I wouldn't trade this for anything. I wouldn't go back. And that always stuck with me. My dad had his own small business. My wife, Tara, her dad had his own business. So it's always been something that was in our mind. And fast forward to, 20 years of working in tech, both of us working in tech. 2020 comes along, and our plan was always we were going to stop what we were doing, figure out what we want to go do. Lo and behold, what we wanted to go do apparently was be teachers full-time to 5 kids in 5 different schools once the pandemic hit. So that was pretty crazy. Our kids range from 20 down to 7. Wow. So it's a lot. But it did give us the time. We did spend a year trying to think through what we wanted. And we knew we wanted to do a business that was community-based. We knew we wanted to be a service-oriented industry, something that, Google and Apple can't just come right in and buy and take over. And really, something that filled a need, right? We saw it right away, as people are aging, that there's a challenge in what do you do with everything that you have, and there's no great process for it and no great solutions out there that we knew of, at least. And so, we started investigating and looking at what we would want to do, and we got the opportunity to check out some franchises. We knew 5 kids everything that we had seen small businesses starting from the ground up, that was not going to be easy. So we figured find a place with a playbook and see if we can make that playbook work. There were no blue moons up here really, and we figured, what a great opportunity. And so, so Blue Moon Estate Sales, we started it up. This is now starting our third full year in business. Over 40 sales now under our belt. It is everything I wanted it to be. It's hard. It's rewarding. We really enjoy doing it.
Well, that's what small businesses are all about. It's the grind, right? Mm-hmm. But you brought up something, 2020. That was your big shift, right?
It was. Prior to that, actually, it was funny. Tara had worked for a while as an executive down in Boston. So she had been doing that work and, traveling and whatnot. And we had decided, I think in around 2016, that I would stay home with the kids. And that was in and of itself a wonderful adventure. But basically we knew we had gotten to the point where we were fortunate enough to be able to take a pause. Again, the corporate world, the money's good. You can't deny that. But at some point you want it to be about more than that. And, with all the kids and all that, right? Having them see us kind of tackling something that fills the soul, not just the pockets. It was important to us. And so that's when we decided. We literally decided it would be 2020. We didn't decide that it would be the times that we all have had. So we adapted. We were very lucky, right? A lot of people didn't have two parents at home to be able to help kids. So I don't care whether you had 1 kid, 5 kids, doesn't really matter. It was hard. But we felt very, very fortunate at the end of the day that we were able to make that decision, and it did work out for us.
So you're a stay-at-home dad at that time.
I was, yes.
And your wife has got the insurance and all of that stuff.
Yes, she does.
Health insurance. Big deal when you're leaving a company and you get security and you're starting this thing. What was the thought process there?
So I think that's an awesome point, Ben. I think, that was one of the hardest things. You do the math on salary and benefits and all of this, but what you don't do the math on is how's it going to feel not to have those things? You don't know. Mm-hmm. And so that was a concern that we had, and we had not had to go through, getting our own insurance in the past. That was nerve-wracking. And I will tell you, and I don't have to tell you, I'm sure anybody who's gone through this, going through the portal, going through the connector, finding out this works or that doesn't work, and then they change the plans on you. And I'm a numbers guy. I like doing analysis, and I had it all in spreadsheets. And at the end of the day, I just, you close it up and you're like, I quit. Yeah. Right. Like just figuring this out as a full-time job. That's where, getting some guidance from other small businesses, talking to people who I knew that were had their own and made that transition. Mm-hmm. What they had basically said is, look, you got to bite the bullet, just pay for it and go. Like, don't stress about, is it plus or minus $100? Yeah. It's just going to drive you crazy.
I'll tell you the best part about this podcast so far is the fact that Ben's turning into an insurance salesman.
Yeah.
So when are we getting your application over
I think
here?
every interview I've been like, well, what's your insurance on this? We're going into people's houses now. Let's go to the next one. You're going into people's houses every day.
Absolutely.
Or maybe not every day, but you've got items that are quite expensive.
We do.
And and you've got people coming into the house. Again, set the stage though, because I don't really know how an estate sale really works.
Sure. Absolutely.
So go ahead and tell us people coming in, how do you start? How's it go?
You got it. So very simply, first and foremost, it's really for anybody that is moving out of a home and needs to transition and doesn't want to take the majority of what they have with them. An estate does not have to be something that Tom Brady and Giselle are leaving behind. It does not have to be something that, old man, Cratchit in his, old house and all the, expensive antiques that you've never seen before. Really, it's anybody who has an accumulation of things that they just want to find new homes for. So that's first and foremost, because people have this misconception that it's only for the old, the rich, and the dead. It isn't. 20% of our clients have probably passed, in terms of that's why we're doing it. Most of the people, it's just downsizing, retiring, memory care, things like that. So then you walk in and you say, okay, is this the right fit for us? And the way that we determine that, it's just, is there enough volume of items there? Is there enough variety? And is there enough total value for it to make sense? We do this with a staff. Our staff is paid well. They're W-2 employees. It really, we need it to make financial sense for us and for the client. So assuming it checks those boxes.
So before you continue,
go ahead.
Let me just ask you a quick question. commissions, is that how you guys get
Yeah.
paid? So that's what you mean by this has to be worth it for you.
Exactly.
Because it is a business. So give me an idea of some of how does it break down? You have a percentage of the wholesale?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what we do is it's a flat rate commission. We try to make it easy. Sometimes, again, there's other companies that do this. Some people have a lower commission, but then they charge fees for advertising or marketing and the Facebook boosts and things like that. We tend to just wrap it all up into one flat rate commission, and that can vary a little bit depending on what we're selling. We're not going to take the same commission on the 3-carat diamond ring that we sold as we do on kind of the pots and pans and dishes and everyday stuff that we also sell. So that's why I always tell people, call us first, let us come in before you go down to the guy that does stuff with coins or gold to the pawn shop. Please don't. Like, I can at least guide people, even if they don't want to have me sell it for them. I can help them understand the value and what to do. Mm-hmm. So that's it's a flat rate commission structure. At the end of the day, usually if it's a good fit, we will have sold 80% of what's there. The rest of what's there is still theirs. We don't take it. We're not selling it out the back door in some truck of ours. We help them by setting them up with, we like working with places that do clean outs that prioritize donation over disposal. That's important to us. Mission-driven type work. And so, that really is kind of the end-to-end process of it.
Gotcha.
So I think you've answered a lot of the questions that I know I had about estate sales, because you nailed it. I hear estate. I don't have an estate. I don't have an estate. I'm not rich, or somebody's dropping dead or has already passed. So that's fantastic that you laid that all out. So of that 80% of your people, what makes that ideal client?
Yeah. So getting back to kind of the volume, variety, value. So volume just means there is enough stuff, right? Like you walk into a house and some people are like, oh my God, I have too many things. I'm like, in our world, that's not a bad thing. I'll hear people say, oh, this is a hoarding situation. You walk in and you're like, there's different degrees of that, right? Some people just have bought a lot, never opened it. They're brand new things and they're kind of stacked in a basement somewhere. That's not a problem. Obviously, there can be problems, and we can, again, get me out there, we'll know. The variety is, I think, the thing that surprises people. They are shocked at what we sell. I'm pots, pans, dishes. We will sell unused wrapping paper because, people need wrapping paper. And if you're at the sale looking for things like, oh, I saw you advertise that really cool, baseball card, that you had. They come in, only one person's going to get the card, but while you're there, why wouldn't you shop? And you're like, oh, wrapping paper with musical notes. I know someone who likes that. And again, you price things at a point where it makes sense to buy it. We're not retail, right? It's a resale environment. We explain that to our clients. We're not getting top dollar for every item. That is not our goal. Our goal is to get things moved on to other homes. Mm-hmm. That's another big piece of an ideal client, is they have to connect with us there. Doesn't mean that we're fire selling everything out, $1 for anything you see. That doesn't help us because we make commission on that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do the best we can for you, does the best for us. And what we try to provide, and we guide our pricing, when we do our pricing, we guide our team this way, which is we want to give our client, our customers, our shoppers, a deal, not a steal. So that kind of model of what would you normally pay at the store? Let's knock about half off that, right? Let's not give it away.
Gotcha.
And then so if you're a client and you can kind of connect with that, and you say, very often what they say is, I just don't want to see everything getting thrown out, because they see the got junk people, they see the big huge dumpsters and people just throwing away things. They're like, surely somebody can use that,
right? And
you're like, yeah. What are you going to do? You're going to go to Facebook Marketplace for the first time and try to sell everything in your home? Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah, please don't do that. Craigslist and the scamming and there's so much complication to that and again, and you're hitting people at a time of transition. And I don't care if you're transitioning because you're like, I'm moving to Hawaii, kids are gone, this is great. You are still trying to part with a lifetime's worth of possessions, and that is emotional, and that is difficult. And so for us being able to step in there and shoulder some of that burden, and we say, hey, let us take care of your stuff. You're going to take care of the rest of it. It's important for you to take care of what you need to do for your next step. let us take care of the past.
So that's fantastic. I have checked out your website too, by the way. So that is really cool. First of all, it's a great website.
Thank you.
And the items that are on there. And I brought my wife into the room. I was like, wow, look at this. Because I don't know, for some reason I was looking for guitars or something like that.
That sounds familiar.
Some used things. I don't want to pay top dollar for that. So I've been to an auction before. Now, this is not, my next question is how do these things operate? Is this high intense situation? Yeah. You've got quote unquote pickers, because I know that's the word in some of those.
Yeah, no.
It's just the industry of pickers. And they come in and they're intense and a 50, 50, 50. Do I hit 55? Do I hit 55?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in this estate sale?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up, because that gets to the other. So the clients are the people, whose items we are rehoming, finding new homes for. The other end of it are the shoppers. And if I can do anything here, it's also convincing people, come to a sale, right? You would be shocked at what you can find. It's great things. Things are of quality. It's not a bunch of just junk on a floor that you're piling up. I will tell you right now, there are picker sales out there, and those are a blast to go to. They aren't what we do. So picker sales are generally, here's a barn full of stuff, just pile it up. You go to the guy, how much for this pile? $20? Now how about 10, right? That's not what we do.
Negotiating thing, yeah.
What we do is we basically turn the home into a small store, and we bring in our own tables and tablecloths and lighting. And what I need to do a good job of is showing videos, because I post a video of kind of the end product for all of our sales. I need to get those out to the world so they can see what it looks like, because I think when you see it, you're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. Our clients, when they walk through after we're set up, they're like, I want to buy my own stuff. Like, it looks great. And so because we clearly price everything. So it's like anything in running a good retail shop, right? It's a merchandising experience. So you price it all, we stage it all. So that's a big piece of this today. Like Tara right now is with the team staging the home we're doing in my hometown of North Andover this weekend. And you make it a comfortable experience to shop. And the way you do that, we have an amazing team. Tara's superpower when she was an executive was hiring great people and finding great talent and having them work together. So those people are our salespeople. They're the friendly faces you see. They're customer service, right? We overstaff our sales. I know we do. I gotta, I'm always told that and looking at my books, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I spend a little more than I probably should. But that's because we want to create an environment that isn't in elbowing. That's my thing. That's my thing. It really, we want to keep it nice and calm and enjoyable to shop. And the other way we do that, we limit how many people come into the sale at a time. So we will have a line at 9 a.m. sometimes of 20 to 50 people. And depending on the size of the home, we'll let in 10 to 15. And
really?
Those first 10 to 15, if you think about it, they're shopping a home. And they don't do that in 3 seconds. It takes a little bit of time. And then they make their way to the checkout. And then as they start leaving, we let more people in. And I will say, we have people take numbers. We've run through 70, 80 numbers in the morning. Wow. And yeah, we'll lose some. Some people don't want to wait that long. But when they come in, they'll be like, oh, it's cold outside. Can we just, come on, can't you just let us in? Mm. I let them, by the time it's their number, they come in and I say, what do you think? And they're like, oh, this is great. I said, good. So should I let everybody else in now? They're like, no, don't do that. This is good. I like this. This is a comfortable experience. I really enjoy it. We have music playing. It's just something that you have to experience to know. I guarantee you go through it. You're going to bring something home, whether it's some childhood book that you remember reading when you were little, whether it is some interesting, funky mid-century table that you're like, I think I saw that out of like Mad Men or something. That's cool. Whether it's, again, collectibles or just I need a better pan than I have, and this is an all-clad pan for, $25. Like, that's awesome. So I really do encourage people to come out and just shop it. And it also feels good. You're supporting somebody in your community, because those people, while they're not looking to get top dollar, they really could, everybody could use a little bit to help whatever your next step's going to be. And it's sustainable, right? You're not throwing this stuff away into landfills. You're not going out to, a big box store, let's say, and buying a $100 coffee table that you're going to throw out in 2 years. Instead, you're getting a nice solid oak piece that you can get refinished for $50 and have it look however you want. It's going to last 100 more years.
Now, if your time to be, is it like 9 o'clock in the morning? Do you see people lining up at 5 in the morning? Like, so get numbers, what's good and what's not good?
Yeah. So what I tell people is, if you haven't been before, please don't come right at 9 because you might get a little put off by the fact you have to wait. Come at 10. By the first hour, people have now kind of settled out and things move quicker, first and foremost. If you have come before and gone to sales before, everybody's got a different way of doing this. Some people have a sign-up sheet that you write on a whiteboard when you get to the place. What we do is we post numbers on the front door, usually of the property, the night before the sale, usually by 8 p.m. And it's just tear off numbers. You tear one per person. All I say is, please, please, please show up at like 8:45 because we always have those people who are like dying to be number one. They're number one, and they go out and get their coffee, and they show up at 9:01. And I'm like, I've already let the first 12 people in. You've got to wait.
Do you have the reverse, though, when people are there like 5 in the morning?
I've had that happen. I've had that happen a couple of times with some incredibly rare, valuable objects.
Yeah.
So we had some real early 19th century Asian pottery that anyway, it's a whole to-do. This is the research part of it that I love actually about this job, right? I got to research and learn all about the pottery and how it was made and where were the famous kilns and who did the paint. Anyway, I digress. The point is, people wanted it. It's very rare. There was not really a pricing problem because I knew they would pay. It was how do I control the flow? And that was hard because the people who wanted it. And so those first 9 people that went through the door were on each other. And we had staff there to help kind of, keep it calm. But
Staff, do you have bouncers too? It sounds like it could get heated.
Yeah. No, we have a good team though. We have a tough team. You're not going to mess with some of them. They're great.
I do have a question about this. So we've been talking about a few different aspects of this, but let's talk about the timeline. From when you meet a potential client, for when they sign on, the setup, the staging, to sale, and how long does the sale last?
Sure. So, I like to say we can turn it around in as little as 10 days. I don't like doing 10 days. I like having 2 weeks. And so the reason is, let's say, you've got the volume, the variety, the value's there. We're ready to go. We pick a weekend, and we work backwards from there. Our sales run Saturday 9 to 3, Sunday 10 to 2, typically. And then we work backwards 2 weeks. I like coming in on the Monday of that week, either myself or with a team member. We do photography. If you looked on the website, you'll see the photos are good.
Fantastic.
We work hard at it. It takes time. We've gotten a good process down.
How many of the items are on there, too?
It's probably half.
Half of the
About
items.
half. I mean, you're not going to take pictures of every dish, every
that's what I
whatnot. But we try to get pictures of the good stuff and the variety of things. And I don't Photoshop them. So if there's a big scratch on a table, I take a picture and let you know there's a scratch on the table. I don't want you to come and be like, wait a second, that wasn't in the picture. It's not about that. Anyway, so timeline. Yeah, so you got 2 weeks. I take the photos the first Monday or Tuesday, get them up online on our website, and then we also get them up online on the 2 places where people shop estate sales the most, which is estatesales.net and estatesales.org, and we pay to be premium level members, and that way our sales show up first, and that's important to us because, again, it gets the attention on those items. The longer we can market them. We use our own Facebook page. Talk about a challenge in business, trying to figure out how to use Facebook right. But
John knows.
I will. I did a study with small businesses in Yelp, so I will hold my tongue there.
We can talk after.
We can talk after. I've got good stories. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, so the process. So I go in, take photos, and then it's just spending a week promoting. The team comes in on usually Tuesday, Wednesday, and they go in and they price and stage everything. Right? It's a 2-day task. We've done a 4,000 square foot home in 2 days. We like to have, again, Tuesday, Wednesday. If we think it's going to be a big job, we'll add Thursday. Friday is a good buffer day so that, Tara and I can walk through in case there was any other last minute things. And then again, numbers go up Friday night. The address is released 24 hours before the sale. That's important because we don't want people going up to the homes early. It can be really, especially you can imagine at a time when people are dealing with a lot of other stuff, having to deal with that is not fun. So we keep the address closed. And then the sale on Saturday and Sunday. It's crazy. It's fun.
And it's always 2 days?
Always 2 days. I have done 1 day sales. We will do them once in a while if we believe it's the right fit. But most of the time, I like 2 days. 2 days gives us first day, the price is the price. If you want to write out an offer for something that's, $1,200, and we'll look at the offer and we'll decide on that at the night. Because then Sunday, as most people who shop estate sales know, Sunday's discount day, right? And so items will be marked down up to 50% off. And so there are those people who come on Saturday in the morning because they got to get the thing. Then you have people who come on Saturday, just kind of shop, buy a few things and go, if that's left at half price, I would love that. And they come back early on Sunday. And then you have people who come towards the end of Sunday and are like, hey, if I was to buy a lot of things, can we negotiate? Sure. On Sunday, at the end of the day, we can negotiate more. I don't give anything away. People always are asking, isn't it just going to get thrown away then? Why can't I just take it all? And I explain, no, I work with clean out people who donate. Those donations are meaningful. And a lot of time my clients, they say, hey, if it didn't sell, maybe it was meant to stay with me. And so they will keep it or go on to family or friends or whatnot.
Who gets the tax benefit of those donations?
So the client.
The client
Absolutely. There are some clean out companies that will actually bring you back tax receipts. And so I'll give them names of places. Again, prices vary a little bit. But yeah, so they get the benefit there, which is great.
Now, I had a little bit of an aha moment here when you mentioned about releasing the address.
Yes.
Do you ever have situations where, hey, I'm here to buy something before the sale? Any kind of like poachers that show up beforehand and try to...
Not at the door. Okay. I get calls all the time though, right?
Okay.
Dealers and collectors who are like, can't we just work this out ahead of time? And what I say to them is, once it's posted on the website, I can't do that. And the reason is, and I also tell my clients, once we post it on the website, please try not to take it away from the sale. Like, I understand every now and then there's a thing that we find that you didn't realize, but we really don't want our customers, again, the other end of that equation, right? Balancing the client and the customer. Our customers expect that we are going to have for sale what we say is available. And a lot of customers have said to me, we love shopping your sales, not just the friendly staff, not just the great prices, not the great environment, but you have what you say you're going to have, and you don't pre-sell a bunch of items. And that does mean that there are certain dealers who I'm sure don't work with me. And I'm okay with that. My goal is to get things moved on to homes. Whether it's a dealer, an eBay seller, whether it's someone who will love it themselves, as long as I'm doing a good job getting those people, I feel great. So yeah. So no, we don't pre-sell.
Okay.
You take cash cards.
Cash card, Venmo, pretty much any payment form except for checks. We can't do checks anymore.
Can I switch gears a little bit?
Yeah.
Before you do switch gears, because I think I know where you're going, and I'm looking forward to go there.
I doubt it.
Well, I'm curious about the psychology piece of this.
Sure.
Because I'm assuming you may have a situation where husband and wife wants to get rid of something, husband wants to get rid of something, and the other person does not. And now all of a sudden you're the psychologist.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those situations?
That's good. I like that. Because it happens every time. I look at it as my job is to help people feel good about letting go of things, right? That's a lot of the realtors I partner with and the estate planning people I partner with. They like me coming in because I have a good way of being able to help, let's just say, take some of that emotion out of it and say, look, here's what we're trying to accomplish. If I can get them on the same page with, I know you love that table. I know he says he hates that table. At the end of the day, do you have the things you really want? I try very hard not to push people to get rid of things they do love, right? If I see an emotional connection to it, I will side with somebody and I'll say, I don't know, it feels to me, Bob, that Jane here really does love this thing and she's willing to not sell, or she's willing to sell all the rest of the things. So I try to help broker that a little bit, but it's about making people feel good about letting go. And that's hard. I don't care who you are. That is hard. You've had things for 20, 30, 40 years. And for actually growing up here in this area, you have your things and your parents' things and your great aunt Sally's things. And that, and it goes back and back. And we're getting to the point where now the buck stops here and nobody wants anything else. And so again, part of that psychologist piece of it is we just want to find new homes. We just don't want these, from the early 1800s, the amount of furniture we have from the 1800s, right? You'd be like, that's amazing. People just don't want that. Not to pay for it the same way that some people might think they would get from it. So making them realize that let us find a good home for it. first of all, better than arguing over it. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you really want? And most of the time, the clients will be like, yeah, that is what we want to do. Or when it is somebody who's passed away, the kids are like, I don't want to disrespect my parents. And I'm like, finding new homes for things, that is a great way to show respect. And so, yeah. So that's really the great way of doing that.
So I want to add value to all our listeners, of course, and I want to change gears into franchises.
Yes.
Here's Jonathan and Tara, and you decided to go with Blue Moon as a franchise. How is it, buying a franchise, moving into that? Why did you decide with Blue Moon? Why franchise at all? Why not do this on your own? I know marketing was a huge thing you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Can you get into that side of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So after, again, spending time with so many small businesses, I actually worked for Constant Contact, and I worked on their franchise. I was a product manager on their franchise group, and so I actually got to meet with quite a few of them.
I've used them too.
And so I would say it's the right decision if you're looking for a playbook, if you're looking to not have to become an expert in everything, if you're doing it alone, if your partner and you are doing it together, but you both have other commitments, and in this case, our commitments are 5 children, I think it's a good way to be able to follow a book. That book is not written for you. It's written in a general way to service a store that can operate, a business that can operate in anywhere, right? Any part of the country. So some of those challenges with a franchise is, if it works in one area of the country, does it work in another? That is one of those things that we were a little nervous about, right? We're starting up, we're in a franchise, but we're in an area where I can't talk to people about certain things. For example, in our point of sale system, there isn't a snowblower. Why? Because the company was started in the South, and there are no snowblowers. Although now, but you know what I mean? Like, so there are certain things that aren't going to be perfect for you. And I think anybody who walks in thinking, oh, great, yes, I'm going to do a franchise because it'll immediately, money just comes right out of it. It's great. No, it's still a lot of work. It's still starting a business. So I think, again, the playbook I'll keep coming back to, because that is one thing we really thought would be valuable, and it has been. The other thing is the network. So as we talk about networking and how great it is to meet you and how great it is to meet people in other businesses so that you can learn in your local community how to really get out there as a business, having a network of what's now, I think, almost 90 other owners, they've grown quite a bit. If I have a question about, hey, I just found this really interesting, unique painting, I don't know what this is or how to value it, I've got 90 other owners, and chances are someone's seen it. And if they haven't, because it's a franchise, they have the resources to bring in an appraiser or an auctioneer to be able to help me know. So expertise is all of it too. I was asked yesterday, by a client that I was in their home. She's like, you seem to really know a lot about a lot of things. And I'm like, I have the fortune of not having to do it from scratch. And I'm curious about things, so that helps too. So franchising, again, I think it makes sense if you can approach it the right way. We had a fantastic franchise consultant who basically, this is a good story, but part of what they do is they help kind of, what's your checklist, right? Okay, we want to be community-based. We want it to be mission-driven. We, looking for a service-based industry. So they check. And then they do would you and your business partner be a good fit to work together? And that's a little dicey, when you're talking about, a husband and wife. Like, okay, so we're going to fill out these surveys.
No, trust me.
Okay. So he said, so after you fill it out, he says to me, he's like, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, I swear. He's like, on paper, you guys could not be a better fit. Everything that you like to do, she has no interest in. Everything she's got a strong aptitude for, you clearly don't. And so you should not be doing that part of it. You will really, on paper, it looks like you will be great business partners. And we have been. That has been one of the most fulfilling parts of this is, having that business kind of grow together, growing it together. So anyway, so back to the franchise. So we knew we were a good fit. We found the right model. You interview with them. And that's where start talking to other owners. I field calls from owners or prospective owners all the time. I am dead honest with them, right? I will tell them, here's my struggles. I will open up my books a bit and say, look, if you're looking to start this business and immediately start grabbing, $100,000 a year out of it, no. Frankly, if you're starting a business and you're thinking that, I think what you're looking for is called a job,
Well said.
And again, right? So just being realistic about goals, and the franchise can help you with that too, right? They say, look, here's achievable goals. They force you to look at your P&Ls. They force you to go through your quarterlies, right? And those are the good things that are good for all business owners anyway. So I've had great experience with Blue Moon.
Are they knocking on the, looking over your shoulder like Big Brother too? Or are they keeping an eye on what you're doing, making sure you're part of the branding and make sure that's going good? But are they a little too much sometimes?
Yeah, I think this is where Tara and I, you can't take the corporate out of us, right? So we're big corporate people. We have been forever. And so both of us are on their advisory councils. I'm on their franchise advisory council for the whole East Coast. Tara's on their marketing advisory council, one of a couple people on that. So they're not so much looking over our shoulder. They're more looking for our input and feedback. And mainly because, again, my goal is I would love to help grow this business in New England and in Massachusetts. And I'm not looking to own an empire personally. I am happy to help other Blue Moon outfits be successful in New Hampshire or in Rhode Island or wherever it may be. We have our area that we have to work, or that we have, right? We have our territory, and I think it's all we need. I don't need more empire building. We've done that in prior careers. We don't need to do that. And so I just want to, again, spread the word that this is a possibility, and if I can find more owners who want to do it, that's fantastic. So I think that they are not looking over my shoulder. They're more looking for helping and our guidance.
Mm-hmm. So you've kind of alluded to it earlier as well, and just now too, of estate sales in New England are really not a big thing. Yes. Why is that, and how do you change that?
So it's amazing, right? Growing up here, I've been to yard sales, right? I've gone to Building 19, right? You go to like those different locations to buy used things, or interesting, like, a little shady sometimes. But I had never heard of an estate sale, not in any real context of what we do. There are companies that do this here, and they have been doing it for 20 years. I hadn't heard of them until I started researching competitors. And what I found is my competition is ignorance. My competition isn't my competitors. Frankly, like I said, I got a call from one of my competitors saying, hey, we're booked on a particular weekend. I got a client that sounds pretty good. Would you like to talk to them? So you really can't get better than that. Obviously, due diligence is important. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a track for a second.
Yeah,
but
go for it.
Due diligence is important because people ask me, are you licensed? And I say no, because there isn't one. There is no licensing requirement for being an estate sale company. There is for an auctioneer. You need to be licensed to be an auctioneer. You do not need to be licensed to be an estate sale company. Anybody can call themselves that. So you do need to do a little diligence, look at your reviews, call some people, past customers, whatever. Do that. So for us, where are we going? I'm so sorry. I knew I would do that.
How many are in the area?
Yeah,
I knew
in the New England area that it's not.
Yes, thank you. So in the New England area, so in the South where this was started 10 years ago by Ken and Deb Blue, hence Blue Moon, no affiliation with Blue Moon the beer, although please come. I'd love to provide it. So when they started it in the South, it's a culture there. You shop estate sales, of course you do. When you're done with your items, when you're moving on, you sell them that way. Why wouldn't you? Like, that's how you do it. Kids go with their parents to estate sales. It is just not the way we do things here. We have yard sales and garage sales that are just emotionally draining and awful for the owners, and for customers, it's never a great experience. And because of that,
I'll give you $5.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's a $5,000 item. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's
Cash.
amazing. And fights break out.
Yeah.
You're insulting people, right? And so the idea of us coming in and being like, let's put us between you and your items, and believe me, this will work better. So when my parents downsized, they now live half the time, actually right near me in North Andover, and half the time where they are now in Florida. I didn't know it was an option. I had my mom wanting top dollar for every single item, which meant calling my sister and saying, can you get top dollar on Craigslist because I don't know how to use it? And my sister texting me going, nobody wants this stuff. And my dad saying, oh, no, I got a solution. Just give me a can of gas, a match, and we're done. And so you really ended up in those two zones. And by the end of it, when they finally did find a few people to buy stuff, people would come to the house to pick it up, and they would just be in the garage. They'd be like, do you want anything else? Do you want anything else? Because what you'd find out, unfortunately, is it costs money to get things removed. Mm-hmm. And in the South and in other places in this country, they have what are called buyout people, where they'll come and they'll be like, hey, I'll give you $4,000 for everything. I'll take it all away for you, all the stuff. Here, we have people who say, oh, give me $4,000 and I'll take it all away for you. It's just a different world. And so I don't know why the industry hasn't caught on here. I think a big part of it is it's a mom and pop industry for the most part. And that's not a terrible thing, but you then don't have the power of a brand behind you. We're starting to talk now, what do we do with the National Advertising Fund, right? Like that's something you can't do as a mom and pop. That's something I can't do as an individual business owner. I do this. I take out ads. I network. But to have a good radio spot running, that's expensive. And to have a franchise that's willing to put some money into it, once we have kind of some critical mass up here, that's huge for us. So I don't know why it was never a thing in this area, because it's always been a thing down south. But my goal is to make it a thing.
Awesome.
So you're part of the Blue Moon Merrimack Valley.
Yes, that is our brand. So Blue Moon, Merrimack Valley, we work basically the whole Merrimack Valley, North Shore is what we're calling ourselves. We will go down as far south as, we will go to Needham and Newton in those areas if it makes sense. We will go out as far west. We have a sale in Carlisle coming up at the end of the month with a 1930 Model A. Ooh. Amazing. So we'll go out far west, like around there, maybe even to Acton. And north, we'll go to the border, and we'll even go to southern New Hampshire. So we've done sales in Atkinson and in Salem, Pelham. So we try to stay within range, and this is something I never realized, right? Where do our employees live, and how far do they want to go? And again, not just for the money sake of it. They just don't like being on the road for 2 hours. Who does? And so we do kind of draw those boundaries. I'm always bummed that there isn't a Blue Moon out in the Cape, because we get calls from Plymouth and going all the way down that way all the time. And not only do I not do that area, there's very few people that do. So anyway, yeah, it's a good opportunity, right? That I see a lot in this area. But yeah, that's our borders. That's where we kind of operate. We love the towns that we work in. We've got great communities that we work in. Haverhill is a phenomenal community that come out and support whoever is leaving. The number of people we've had in homes there is insane. We've done Lexington and Linfield. We were doing those areas. North Andover now. So we've really bounced around.
As the housing market starts taking off again, are you going to find yourself busy? Is that kind of how it rolls?
So we were just talking about this before. I don't like making excuses like, oh, I don't have any business because of, the housing market. I know there is an impact there, right? We're not going to have sales. Nobody's going to want to do a sale on, in the thick of the holidays in December, nor are they going to want to do a sale in the first 2 weeks of January. But last year we had sales in February. This year we didn't. I don't know if that's a trend. I know it's been tough for a lot of the Blue Moon owners across the country. But I still feel like people are always moving. You're always got to downsize. I don't care whether it's because someone's passed or divorce, right? There's always a reason why people have to move, and their stuff has to find a new home. So I think that you can even out that. But yes, I'm already booked now solid through March, and now booking almost all the way up through April, and now starting to talk about May and June. And I only do typically one sale a weekend. Most of us only do one sale a weekend. That helps us, kind of pay attention to the clients and serve them well. So once a weekend's kind of taken, it's hard to get another. Now we are going to do 2 at the end of this month because the situation warrants it, but typically we don't. And so yeah, so it's the housing market definitely has to do with it, but there's other reasons too.
But going back, the support of the franchise system as well. You mentioned you're seeing the other owners that are struggling as well. You have that insight where if you
Yeah.
were just on an island yourself,
Yep.
you might not have that support. You don't know what's going down. So it's great to have that behind the scenes.
Yeah, commiserating is always nice, right?
Yeah.
Like, you don't want it to be a big bitch fest, right? That's not what you're looking for.
Right,
We have our own
right.
Facebook group, and you look for encouragement and, hey, I'm having a tough day, and like, yeah, that happened to me too. Here's a way out of it. But yeah, knowing that others are struggling, it at least makes you feel like, okay, it's not just me screwing this whole business up. I think as a new business owner, that's always on your mind, right? It's kind of like being a new parent, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm screwing the kids up. And then you start realizing, you know what, you're going to screw them up no matter what. So just kind of roll with it.
It's inevitable. It's happening.
But no, you feel that way. And so having a bunch of other people doing what you do, you learn from them, you get better with them. I'm a big process improvement person. I don't want to make your mistake. Why should I make your mistake if you can teach me? So I love that aspect of it too.
I want to go back and give the listeners and viewers a little bit more value as well. You've been talking about Tara quite a bit.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I know Ben and Ari, too, over at Amesbury Foreign Auto, working with a spouse. There are great things about it, and there's some challenges.
We're
So-
lucky enough to have a wall between the office area and the shop area. So I was out in the shop. My wife was in the office area. So I don't know how you guys do it, but I'm curious.
Yep. So you have a physical division of labor. We have a less physical, but more, here's what she's good at. Here's what I'm good at. I'm the beautiful face of the company.
Clearly.
and voice, right? That's I like to talk. I like being out with people. I like making the connections. I love the history of objects. I love doing the research. I love learning about new things. She makes it all happen. She just gets shit done. And she is phenomenal at, again, running a team and finding great people to work together. Funny story. She's hired. We've had a total of 15 employees. A couple have left, a couple have added. She's hired all but one of them. The one person I hired never even got to start because it was that bad.
Wow.
And so again, right?
Jonathan's not allowed to do that anymore.
Nope, I am not. I that's not what I'm good at. And again, so she does that. And she does my job is going to be after this, I'm going to run over to North Andover, and it's going to be, I'm the pick things up and put them down, right? Like, and what's great is I have a whole staff of people who all understand this about me and know, and they're like, oh, that's cute. You think that goes over there? No, we'll help you. We'll tell you where to put things. Can you reach that? It's high up. Like that's my job there, not getting in their way. Bringing them coffee and donuts or whatever. Like I'm good at that. So running the team. And then at the sale, I like being with the customers. I love that. I love greeting people at the front door. I like handling the tough ones. I like the people who are unique, eccentric, right? And I thrive in that world. I really do. She does not like that at all. That isn't what she likes to do. For her, it's about, okay, how do we keep moving forward? How do we keep moving faster? How do we get it done well? And it's like I said, it's a good division of labor, natural, but, and I'm sure you realize this too, the wall can't stay up forever, and you do end up crossing paths, and that's where it's hard. And I think communication, like in any relationship, business partners, marriage, kids, whatever it may be, talking about it, especially after things have gone a little off the rails, be like, okay, what happened there? I'm like, I'm so sorry. That was a bad move on my part or whatever. Being able to also regroup and say, okay, how could we have done that better? Trying not to argue in front of staff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys got to be on the same. It's like kids. You got to be on the same page as parents to make sure when that rule comes out, don't do that. We should be picking that up. Setting boundaries, obviously.
That's
knowing
good.
where the boundary is, was that my job or your job, and knowing that. But after the argument or the whatever happened, you come back, you say, hey, what do we do with this situation again, and move forward.
Exactly. That's a good point. Boundaries it's always, it doesn't change dramatically, but the little nuances do make a difference. And again, it's stressful. It's hard. You guys know running a business is hard. And so being able to do it with somebody who you can look to and say, you know what, I can offload some of the hard to that person and feel okay about it. Sometimes that's hard with your spouse. You almost feel more guilty offloading things, but it just makes it so much easier. overall in the whole system of you, right?
And trust it's pretty easy to trust your partner.
Yes.
So that
Well,
helps.
I'm going to ask both of you guys then.
Yeah, sure.
How do you keep the personal and the business separated? Because there could be spillover. You had that argument at work, and before we get a chance to hash it out and make everything happy again, how do you prevent that from spilling over to your personal life?
It does.
I don't.
Okay.
It's like
So no magic pill for that.
No, and it's like when people, you have 5 kids. How do you keep them all like happy? I'm like, why would I do that? You can't do that. I'm like, if I can get 1 for 5, that's not bad, right? Like that's not a bad deal. You get 3 out of 5. It's 60%. It's better than half. So no, but really, like there's no reason to think that you should be able to keep it completely separate. It is reasonable to expect, though, to be able to kind of call timeouts and say, "Look, let's
shut it off.
Let's stop right now. Let's put the phones down. Let's stop talking about work." And having other things, hobbies, kids, whatever it may be, a show that you're going to watch, to be able to disconnect from the business for a little bit to reconnect together without the business, that's important.
I'm the type that does bring it home, and I want to talk to my wife because sometimes you don't have the time during the day, and you're together at the dinner table. Maybe the kids have left the table, and you're just like, oh, hey, what about Mr. Smith that came in earlier and blah, blah, blah. My wife doesn't want to talk about it. She's just literally like, yeah, no, I don't know. And that's it. So I get frustrated because I like to, I'm always on and I'm always thinking about it, but sometimes that doesn't happen. You yourself, between the two of you, do either one bring it home?
So I do more. She's awesome at she is awesome at compartmentalizing and kind of saying, look, that was work thing, deal with that later. I don't have compartments. It's one big compartment, and that's just the way it's always been. And so for me, it's and the problem is it's whatever the loudest voice in your head that's screaming. And generally for me, it's what am I most worried about? And in a month like this, obviously last month, the worry was there's no business. What are we going to do? This month, there's too much business. What are we going to do? So, and she's always we'll get through it. Look how we've done.
We'll figure it out.
And that's, it's funny. That's some advice that I wish I had got or that I can now give, which is don't worry about what's in front of you all the time. Sometimes it's good to look back and think, look at what I've done and look at how far I've come. And yeah, it hasn't been perfect, but look what I've been able to accomplish. Why would I bet against myself at this point? I should be betting on myself at this point.
Celebrating those small accomplishments that you've had is super important as you progress.
It is.
Good for you.
Yeah. So we're getting a little bit long here, so I just want to be mindful of your time and the audience's time. But there's still a few things we need to jump into. First thing, any mentors, coaches, leaders in the area that you look up to and say, this is why I'm able to do what I'm doing now?
I would say, I started the business we started up in 2020. And the world, this was 2021 roughly, right? So everything had changed. But for us, that's how it started. For everybody else who's been working in business, whether it's 5 years, 10, 20, 50, I look up to those people who were able to continue to persevere through that much change. And again, I've studied small businesses, I've been with them a lot. I admire just the will of those businesses, which is why I try very hard to shop local. I get my coffee at coffee shops. I don't, because it really is, it is a struggle. And now that I feel it much more real to me, to see and imagine, I don't know. I talk to owners in Blue Moon who they had to stop having in-person estate sales. That's what we do.
That's the model.
So how did you, now again, the franchise helped a little bit there with people getting through, but I just in general, that's who I look up to. I do. I look at that. I don't have a single person that has mentored me along. I've got some other franchisees that I talk to that have been doing this a while that are helping guide me, of course. But really, I just look in my community. I'm like, wow, being able to get through it all and good for you. And I'm on our North Andover Merchant Association board. And so we actually had said, really, you give out business awards and things like that. The business award goes to anybody who's still in business. Like for last year, especially, we were talking about that. It really is a huge accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And looking at the 5 children, what do you want your legacy to be? When they're looking back at you and Tara, what is your legacy?
Yeah, I think, it's funny because, again, the age ranges. So the 20-year-old who, next year she'll be out of college, she never really saw us run a business, like she's been gone. The younger kids, now, especially the 7-year-old, that's all we've ever done. Dad went from being stay-at-home dad to now running the business. I think what's important is that what they see is that you can decide to change, right? You can walk away from what seems successful, but if it doesn't feel successful, if that makes sense, right, then you can change that. And I think that is the hardest thing for people to do, is to walk away from a guaranteed income and walk away from, kind of that aspect of life.
Safety.
Safety, exactly. Walking away from safety is hard. But I want them to know that go out, take chances, and the best way to show them is, look, that's what we're doing. And, we haven't won. So this is kind of we're starting year 3. This is the year, right? This is the make or break kind of year of how well can we do? Let's step on the gas. Let's work really hard. I also want them to take away that you can work together. You can work with people and disagree, and that's okay. The same way in the house, it's okay to disagree, right? It's good to have differing opinions. It's good to hash things out together. And so I think they see that now, not just in our marriage, but now in the business too. We have differing opinions on things, and sometimes it gets a little bit testy. But they see it. But they see you work it out, and hopefully they can take that away too. Of wow, so when I'm in a work environment, I don't just have to go along with what everybody says, but at the same time, I can't just be the one to say that everything's wrong, right? Like, let's work together, solve problems. I think that's what I'd like them to see. I would love one of them to take over this kind of a business. If they don't, they don't. I've encouraged them to follow their own path, whether it's college, whether it's trade school, whether it's military, whatever their path is, we're behind them, to 100% of the way. Because, again, you can change.
Absolutely.
I think you nailed it. I think that sounds amazing. I have the same type of thought with my son, just kind of trying to just show him the way that I'm doing it, and whatever you take from this, I hope that I helped you somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the hard work. I do think there is a backlash right now over certain generations about their lack of want to work or desire to work. And I don't fully believe that, but I do believe the best way is you show them, right? Like, look at how hard we work. It doesn't mean work is everything, but it does mean that when you're doing it, you're working hard at it and you care. So I think seeing that in today's world of where you're hearing a lot of, these people don't want to work and these people don't, just want to sit on their ass all day. I don't truly believe that that's what people want. And so if you can show them, keep putting your effort in, care about what you do. I just hope that parenting's a long game, right? Like, it is a long game. So you'll find out, 20 years from now, whether or not that paid off. And so I'm just betting that it will.
Sounds amazing. Well,
Thanks.
I really wish you luck in your business. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So yeah, our website, bluemoonEstateSales.com. So it's Blue Moon, singular estate, multiple sales.com. It's location dependent, so you can just punch in if you're not tracking location, just punch in a zip code and you'll find us. The other way, give us a ring, 978-852-5492. We're, Blue Moon Merrimack Valley on Facebook, all the rest of the all. But really, my favorite is just talking to people. So calling is great.
That's awesome. Well, Ben, I think this was an awesome interview.
Yeah.
Jonathan, thanks so
Learned
much for
a lot.
sharing. Yeah.
Thanks. This was awesome. I appreciate the opportunity. Anytime.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Awesome. Man, Ben, that was another awesome interview. Jonathan Mandell, Blue Moon Estates in Merrimack Valley.
I learned a ton, and I can't wait to try and maybe go pick up some deals just to see this. Not only that, but if I have relatives that might need to sell their house and they have a ton of stuff in there and not sure where to put it, what to do with it.
You're totally picking up a guitar. I can feel it.
I am getting at least a banjo.
Banjo.
Yeah, for no reason. Maybe a mandolin, change it up a little.
But it is true. I met with Jonathan after I first met with him at that networking meeting. We met together over coffee, and I didn't know half that stuff, man. And I learned more today too. It's not something we're familiar with around
No,
here. So.
he's a nice guy too. Really
great guy.
to talk to. Yeah.
Awesome. So Ben, I have a question like I seem to do every week for you as it relates to the old F-150.
What you got?
So I'm driving past the gas station the other day and I saw a good price. It was like $3.05. I'm like, awesome. This is great. And then I said, you know what? I can't do it until tomorrow morning. I went there and it was $3.09. So it's rising.
Yeah.
I think they know when I need gas.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of paying so much.
Yeah.
How do I improve my gas mileage on my F-150?
Oh.
Is there a magic bullet for this?
No.
Damn.
Well, you know, the car manufacturers are going electric because of the emissions that just spewing out the tailpipe, but also fuel, you know, trying to take away some of the burden of that fuel price and those things. So what can you do to try and improve fuel economy, save at the pump? One of those things is tires. I know it's so simple and so easy, but keep your tires inflated to the proper amount. Because if you think about it, the flatter your tires are, the more resistance, the more that truck can't really go to the speed that it wants to. It's just there's a lot more resistance there. I wish I had a diagram to show you, but take my word for it, though. If you overinflate them, though, then it's not doing you any benefits for your tires themselves. I don't know if you remember how much the tires were that you just got. But
I do. Yes.
Gulp.
Thanks, by the way.
They're super expensive, so you want to make sure. That's another reason why tire inflation is critical, because you want tire wear perfectly. But it does relate back to fuel economy. As a matter of fact, real quick note, hybrids and electric vehicles do have specific tires also, and they're like a low friction, low drag tires to go along with their great fuel economy. So if you put regular tires on these hybrids, it can sometimes affect the fuel economy. So yeah, that's something out there. They're green tires is what they call them, if you could imagine that. Yeah. Second thing is proper services. Make sure the fluids are done at when they need to be done. Again, it's a little bit more drag maybe in the drivetrain. Tune-ups, all those things. Keep those taken care of. And then lastly, John, how much are you hitting the gas? Like, are you hammering on this thing?
Well, you know what's funny about that is let's talk about my situation first. In the Ford F-150, I have a gauge, and I have it set on that on my dash that it's my fuel economy. And depending on how much I hit the pedal, it goes up and down. I actually try to max it out all the time. Yeah, I'm conscious. I can see the little green going up where I'm being more efficient. Yay. So I try to be mindful of that. Kristen, she had your loaner recently from the shop.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was a Prius hybrid, and it was showing the different efficiencies, and she didn't realize it. And we were talking about that. I'm like, it's just like my truck.
Yeah.
So I do hit it, but I'm mindful of it. I'm one of those weird people that I see it like a video game for me. So
yeah, well,
I'm not hammered down.
Yeah, good, because that'll obviously use more gas. And I've tried once before I met you, John, from my insurance company. My insurance company had me put one of those dongles where you plug into the car and you got to drive a certain way, and it was such bullshit. I was sorry, but like, it was a stick shift. So literally, I would try and let the first gear out, then the second gear. And when I went home to go, all right, how did I do? Like, this is going to be amazing. It's a flat line. I couldn't have. And they're like, whoa, we had a red, what was it called? Like a red signal, like a red flag.
Dun, dun, dun.
At this set of lights taken off, you had another one coming to a stop over here. You had a red flag. So it was like, what? And this thing was just flawed. It was just stupid. So anyways, got rid of that insurance company. And funny enough, when one of the things that you do, I would like you to talk about you, because one of the things that you do is you will literally not only go over insurance plans with people, what's the best rates, blah, blah, blah. Shit, I don't care about. Like, I have no idea what comprehensive is still. And hopefully in a while I will, because I'll hear it over and over from you. But
we'll talk about comprehensive on the next episode.
With John and Ben. No, so one of the things that you did, though, after you explained everything somewhat, like we met each other and like, oh, yeah, I can help you with your insurance and blah, blah, blah. You sent a video.
Yeah.
That was amazing because nobody does it, but it was so informative. Why do you do that?
Well, I think so. My industry as a whole, and you hear me say that a lot. My industry, and there's a lot of flaws in my industry. One of the biggest ones is we've tried to oversimplify the hell out of it, where you go on a website, you type in some numbers, and voila, here's a number. There's a premium that you'll pay for the next year. But what's really behind that number? And in the quote-unquote old days of insurance agents, the insurance agent used to come over to your house with a proposal. They'd sit at your kitchen table, and you'd go through it. And
Right.
here's this, here's this, here's this, and here's the bottom line.
Yep.
What do you think? We don't do that anymore. So my video, a friend of mine down in North Carolina, he refers to video work as the new kitchen table. And that's exactly what it is I want to walk people through their proposal. I don't want to just send them a quote, which we all do that. We do all the quotes behind the scene, and here you go, Ben, $1,500. And then you see it and you go, that's a good number. It seems high. It seems low. I don't know what the hell it seems like. And it's uninformed. You don't know what's in that policy. So what I do in that video is I walk my clients through why I'm recommending a company, why I'm making recommendations on coverages, and what tweaks on those coverages will be. And hopefully at the end of it, they look at it and go, oh, that's why I'm paying that amount. I know what I'm paying for now. It's not just a piece of paper. It's I'm paying for those protections. And I just want my clients to understand, because I know me personally, I just got my renewal recently, and all right, here's a new number. Is that good, bad, ugly? Why is that? So I just want to help out my clients so they know what it is they're paying for.
I think it works for me. I think it's fantastic.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Hey, it's a 15, 20, 30-minute video that it could be long. But you know what? The other thing about that, sorry it's so long. Was yours shorter than that?
Mine was like 3 minutes.
It was actually longer than that.
Bullshit.
No, it was. I could.
You just made it fly by then.
I did. It's very enjoyable.
Where did the time go? It was John's face that I was watching for 20 minutes. Didn't even know it.
Yeah. So I could pull up that data for you and let you know exactly.
Yeah,
And
I want to call the red flag on that one. Let's watch the tape.
I can tell you when you signed off of it too. So.
Oh shit! You know when we see it.
But where were we going with that? Oh, the length of it. The other aspect of it is you and Ari. You may be the decision maker on it. Ari may be. You both may be. It's tough with our schedules now to get everybody together on the same page. So what better way than video?
Yes.
You can watch it at one time. She can watch it another.
Yes.
You can watch it together. You could say, I'm sick of listening to John. Pause.
Right.
I'll come back to him later.
Right.
So that's what it's all about. It's to make it easier for my client and to help them out.
Yeah, because I think I've gone a phone call with an agent and they go blah 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 blah. Again, comprehensive. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Oh, I don't have no idea. Okay, cool. Click, and it's like, well, wait a second. Did I have glass coverage? Did I have this coverage? Umbrella. I should have asked about umbrellas. Anything like that. And you have it in the video. Everything's there. I can just go back to it and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking note of it. I love doing it because I think it makes it easier for my clients, and I'm just trying to improve this industry one policy at a time.
Good job, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we have for this week. Again, Jonathan Mandell, awesome interview with him. We learned a lot from him. We learned a lot about estate sales. If you want to be a client, if you want to be a buyer, if you want to learn from him as a business owner, reach out to him. We'll have all his contact information. Other than that, we'll see you on the next one.
This has been another episode of Voices from the Valley. If you'd like to be a guest or know someone that would be a great guest, send us an email at voicesfromthevalley@gmail.com. Want to learn more about Ben Tallberg and Amesbury Foreign Auto? Head over to amesburyforeignauto.com or call 978-388-5959. Want to learn more about John Bachmann and Norwood Insurance Agency? Head over to norwoodinsurance.com or call 978-372-5921. Thanks for tuning in to Voices from the Valley.